Hospitality exists as a response to the movement of humans, people leaving their towns and villages in ancient times. The prospect of leaving one's own surroundings to become a stranger elsewhere was an awful one, prompting dread and terror in the heart of the sojourner. To be without shelter for the night could mean death by exposure to the elements, or wild animals, or robbery and murder at the hands of highwaymen. Movement is, and was, inevitable. So, out of necessity, an agreement was made by social groups of diverse cultures all over the world, which facilitated the admittance of strangers into a private realm, an infrastructure of shared protection. This system works on the basis of mutual trust. The wayfaring stranger is invited to food and shelter on condition that they bring no harm. The host in turn vows to keep the stranger safe under their roof and is afforded an opportunity to prove status and honour. There is more than meets the eye to this exchange, though. The etymology of the word hospitality gives us poetic insight into the mutuality of the practice. Gostes is the Indo-European root, and it describes neither the host nor the guest, but the relationship between the two. The meaning is reversible. It bounces from one to the other, like an electric current, for as long as both parties are held in their protective bind. Here under this microscope is where the magic happens. Hospitality is the space of possibility that opens up between guest and host when both parties willingly engage in mutual respect. Here anything is possible. In the cold, dingy basement office of my cafe, I have mounted on a wall a crumpled photocopied extract of philosopher Jacques Derrida's 1996 seminar, Step of Hospitality, No Hospitality, which sets out in no uncertain terms the law of absolute, unconditional, hyperbolical hospitality. The passage which I look to begins with the sentence, "Let us say yes to who or what turns up, before any determination, before any anticipation, before any identification, whether or not it has to do with a foreigner, an immigrant, an invited guest, or an unexpected visitor, whether or not the new arrival is the citizen of another country, a human, an animal, or a divine creature, a living or dead thing, male or female." This unassuming piece of paper carries surprising weight. The outlandish, unfeasible demand imprinted on it tells me what the aim is: to welcome each soul that crosses the threshold and cry out to them, "Enter quickly, for I am afraid of my happiness." Sometimes I growl at this sheet of paper in frustration. I fall short and I fail. "Oh, shut up, Derrida. You don't know what it's like," I say. I try again. It works sometimes. French theorist Luce Irigaray has another perspective on how hospitality works, which she describes in almost architectural terms. With her poetic prose, she weaves a mystical landscape, something like science fiction but set more in the past than the future. She requires us to think far, far beyond the reductive version of hospitality based on host giving, guest receiving. What was sharing between all the children of the mother, in particular as earth, has become a welcome tinged with moralism and paternalism, a welcome of the strange or the foreign, the one, he or she, with whom it is difficult to share and who is considered to be more or less inferior to oneself. How embarrassing suddenly now to think of hospitality as something we invented in order to trade safely and better ourselves with efficiency. How absurdly egotistical. Thank you, Miss Irigaray, for this new perspective. You have prompted me to view hospitality as something infinitely more profound. Yes, I have witnessed the particles of gostis fizzing and buzzing over convivial moments of human shared experience. I have stood by the warm glow and basked in it, and hope to again many times more. Perhaps, though, this is not the main event, but a byproduct. Perhaps the reason we humans all experience the same impulse to welcome strangers is because we have been welcomed. The propagation of our species is rooted in the practices of hospitality. We are welcomed into a woman's uterus. We are fed from her body. If we are lacking in nutrients, they are offered from her bones and teeth. We suck milk from her nipples. Here is the law of absolute, unconditional, hyperbolical hospitality. Derrida, see this? Our body welcomes parts of another's body into it. We tuck them into us, greedily, repeatedly. We buzz off each other. Gostas fizzing once again, this time with possible biological repercussions. Hospitality is as deeply programmed into humans as DNA. Our species has also enjoyed unconditional, up to now, hospitality from the earth. We have been feasting away on it, on all that is offered, and when supplies ebb, we work away on the bones and teeth. In this version of hospitality, this impossible law demands of the host to give everything, all of one's home and oneself, to give him or her one's own, our own, without asking a name or compensation or the fulfillment even of the smallest condition, Derrida says. We must shower the stranger with a cornucopia of all that they have. There is to be no end. Possession of cattle in their hundreds, a house on the main road, and an inexhaustible cauldron are the qualifying criteria for a brigu or hospitaller. A character in early Irish society who lodges and feeds all comers, and whose honour price is equal to that of a king. Another description of the brigu is a wealthy man of non-noble birth who could acquire high rank through displaying hospitality and generosity. This here hospitality is connected to pride and status and power. It has little interest in the guest and does not generate fizzing particles of costus. It is not by nature reversible. In fact, it is often designed so as to make sure that the guest is invited into a situation that they will never be able to reciprocate. Beholden. Beholding. What about mutual hospitality? Irigari advises us to take time before ushering the stranger into our lives. This pause is counterintuitive. It implies hesitation or even suspicion. The opposite is the intention, however. She asks us not to automatically rush to assimilate the stranger into our world, but rather to prepare a new space of possibility beyond our own cultural horizon, where we can meet and share the difference between us. In leaving our own comfortable, familiar space, we immediately become aware of its limitations. We are on holiday from our normal lives. We land on the same page as the stranger. We become co-wayfarers. We might now meet them here on equal footing. In this virginal space we stand together, naked of customs and cultural difference, poised and silent, ready to listen to what is expected of us. Here we can imagine the gustus moving synaptically once more between the two parties, creating the new energy of reciprocity, where before there was nothing. By momentarily breaching the confines of their cultural horizon, the host cannot but gain a new perspective. It is crucial that the place of hospitality permit each one to feel free. There is liberation in this antechamber, this quiet place of stolen time, away from expectation, status, pride, machismo. Although both parties ought to remain faithful to a place of their own, in this temporary coexistence there is opportunity for evolution. Here in this space the host is listening closely. Curiosity is permitted, encouraged even. When they return to their own place afterwards, they might be ever so slightly altered by the encounter. The breathless exhilaration of "enter quickly, for I am afraid of my happiness" makes much more sense now. We can get behind the excitement relating to escape, freedom, and newness on the part of the host much more than the version of hospitality we have become accustomed to, which is a sort of charity towards someone who is in want. Let us allow our lives to be altered by the stranger, complex and interesting humans in their own right, sharing their cultural narrative, offering insight and new experiences. Let us enjoy these unseen gifts. Let us remember too that this same exchange is possible, not just with humans but with nature, plants, animals, soil, water. When Irigaray describes the new architecture of possibility, where host and guest coexist, the prescribed action is to discover what is expected by the host. She recommends silence, and I think we can interpret this as a quieting of our dominance. She shares with us her ideas on words to favour welcoming. We have grown accustomed to language in the shape of, I say to you what this is. I inform you about something. I love you. I offer you hospitality. Instead, try. We talk to each other. We question each other. We respect each other. We give to one another. We love each other. These syntactic structures allow space for looking, watching, learning, growing. They form part of the architecture of equivalence deemed necessary for mutual hospitality.